Gracious God, we thank you for this day of grace, this day of life. We thank you for the beauty of the summer, for the life and the growth that we see around us. Lord, we ask for the presence of your Spirit, especially in our kids, that they would continue to grow closer to you and grow into the persons that you intend them to be. Lord, be with us tonight. Bless all that we are thinking and doing and saying so that this First Communion service can be a blessing to our kids. All this we ask out of your great love for us. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
Amen.
All right. What I'd like to do is I just put together a very simple PowerPoint to just kind of walk through what we're thinking about in terms of going forward. We've had a lot of conversations back and forth about what would be the best way to do this and how to proceed. We don't want to wait till the pandemic is over. So how do we do this in a safe way while we're still in the midst of this? So I'm going to share my screen and show you what we're thinking here. Okay. So what we thought we would do is, much like we do on Sunday mornings, is we would do the first part of the First Communion service on YouTube and post it by August 28th. So then that will give you a chance to have that service available. And then we'll have 2 times of consecration and distribution. One on Sunday, August 30th from 12 to 3, and Wednesday the 2nd from 4 to 8. And what we'll have you do is sign up for a 15-minute time slot on Sign Up Genius one of those 2 days. And so one of the things that we'll need to
And that was a
think
slight change, right, Bruce? It went,
What's that?
changed it. We had
Yeah.
originally said 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then I thought, no, let's make it 15 minutes so
Yeah.
we don't feel like we're rushed. So it
Yep.
gives us
Okay.
more time in the sanctuary.
Just so that you don't
Yes.
think you misread that. We did
No,
say
no,
10
that
at first
that
and
was
decided to change.
my change after my second thought,
Yep.
not my first thought. And so the banners, we will we'll have those. We'd like to hang those like we normally do, but obviously the date's not correct. So I'm not the banner maker, so I will let Kirsten or Kim or Kat
Yeah, so what we've talked about is once we have people signed up for the specific times in August, then we will have dates cut, and you would pick up your banner and a little, baggie with the new numbers, and you just I haven't done this or tried this, so I may have to just try one, but peel them off. I'm hoping that it's not too terribly difficult, and then use, just some tacky glue at home too. And if you need, I don't know if I think most people will have some sort of glue at home that they can use, but then you'll just glue on the new dates, and then we'll have to collect those back. I guess we didn't talk those specifics, Bruce. You're thinking of having them hung up in the narthex when people come?
I think like we normally have.
Okay. So we'd collect them back maybe the week before or something, get them hung up, and then when you come, it would be in the narthex, but then people would take them after they come for the blessing and the First Communion, correct?
I think so. I think that would make the most sense.
Okay. So
and then we will have the kids have the chalices for that the kids made. We will use those, and what I'm imagining is then you invite family, you invite friends, you're at the house, you watch that first portion of the service together, and then say your time is 2:00 on the Sunday afternoon. You all arrive at the church at 2:00. You come into the narthex. We will have laid out there in the narthex, there are these pre-packaged, pre-wrapped wine cups and wafers, individually wrapped, and we'll be using those. I mean, that's how we're going to do communion for the foreseeable future until the pandemic's over. So we'll have those for all of the adults. And then for the kids, what I was thinking of today is I'd like to be able to use their bread. If we can do it in a safe way where we can cut it up into small pieces and maybe even, put it in a little plastic baggie for them to pick up. When you pick up your wafer and wine at the back, they've got a little baggie that they can pick up with the communion bread, and then they bring that in. And then we will have you gather at the altar rail, welcome your son or daughter, and then I will actually do the words of institution each time that a family comes, and we will then share communion and do that together. And then we'd also then like to have some time for a picture, probably at the front of the sanctuary. And then when you're done, then you exit out of the sanctuary to the back of the church. We will ask everyone to wear a mask and just keep it on, except when you're actually receiving communion. We'll have masks. Either Kirsten or I will have a chalice of wine, and we'll pour that into the chalices that the kids have, and we'll have gloves on. So that's the closest we're going to get to anybody is needing to pour the wine into their chalices, because I'd like them to be able to use their chalices as well. So we will also just give you fair warning, even if it's a hot day, we're going to have the windows and the doors open and the fans running, because the more airflow we have in the sanctuary, the safer it's going to be. It seems that that's becoming more and more evident that transmission of the virus happens most often via aerosols that we breathe or speak or sing or cough or whatever. So we've just made it the policy that as long as the weather permits, we'll just have the building as open as possible. So we will, have you all there, physically distanced, and by households. We, depending on how many family members you have there in households and actually what you're comfortable with, I'd like to use the altar rail and have people kneel there, but we only have so much space along the altar rail. So I can imagine 4 households pretty easily. Beyond that, we may need to have people standing behind 6 feet away. The other thing that we're planning to do is have a phone set up there at the altar in a Zoom call. And we can send that out ahead of time. So if there are family members, like great grandma, who really shouldn't come out or be out, they can still watch it via Zoom. Let's see. So that's everything I've got. So Kirsten or Kim or Kat, anything else you want to add?
I have one more thing to add. Yes. We talked about your baptism candle.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Lighting that as you walk in, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, so you just bring it with, and then we would have, I don't know if we'd just move the Christ candle possibly into the narthex, or maybe just up at the front, because you probably don't want it burning the whole time, but
right.
Yeah, and they would light their candle maybe during the blessing and then extinguish it before they receive communion. But something along those lines.
Yeah, we'll have that figured out, but probably there at the center.
We've never done this before, if you so it's quite a learning Learning curve.
I've said this more than once lately. I feel like I just got out of seminary. You know, when you're first out of seminary, you've never done anything for real before, and you're doing it for the first time. You're having to think through how you're going to do all these things. You know, I've done First Communion more than once, but it doesn't feel like that. You know, it's like I've never done it this way before.
And I'm guessing you've never done the words of institution 30 times in one day.
No, I've never needed
that
to
will
do
be a
that.
first.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's, you know, and this is where we invite you on the journey, because really, if you think of something that we don't, if you know, we'd love your ideas. We also are going to be really interested in your feedback afterwards, because who knows if we'll be doing this again next spring.
Right.
I just, you know, so we really need the partnership. It really takes a whole community to navigate things like this, because it sure is a little bit foreign. So I'm sure you've all experienced that in your own settings for various reasons. So
the other thing too, you should know is, you know, we did talk through the possibility of having the whole service there, but because of our space limitations, maybe, you know, 75 people is the max we can have in the sanctuary and still be physically distanced. We would probably need 5 different services, and we'd be spaced out through the sanctuary, and we can't sing in the sanctuary, we can't speak in unison, so it would be,
and we just weren't sure what people would be comfortable
right,
with.
people comfortable with, and that's higher risk the longer you're there. So we tried to strike a balance between making it safe but making it meaningful as well, and that without having you come to the sanctuary for the communion itself would be more meaningful, but hopefully being able to do the first part of the service at home also allows you to participate in that in a safe way. So.
It will be memorable.
Yeah.
A lot of memorable milestone occasions that are happening around the world for sure. Yeah. And I guess that is maybe another important thing to note, that I mean, there are families that are choosing to wait, and that is totally fine and acceptable also. I don't know about you, but in this situation, I mean, Drew is 2 and he eats the bread on Sundays, and I'm not sweating it, because I'm not going to fight the battle. And yet I know that it's not going to like determine his salvation. And he will have, you know, a more memorable First Communion experience at some point, but we know that this is just it's a tricky time, and we just didn't want to put it off too much longer. If there were families that were, you know, there are some older kids that are going to be a little bit more black and white about it and want to do have the actual ceremony, and, you know, they want to participate in communion with their family at home. And so anyway, it's truly up to your family, and we'll support. And, you know, there's no guarantees at this point when we will be back to normal, or how, you know, what that will look like. It's very much going to be a new normal, but we will 100% support you, whatever you decide, if you want to wait. And so I guess maybe that leads to what questions maybe or other thoughts you have, or any concerns.
Yeah, we did have one family ask if there were going to be other dates, since they're going to be gone that week. So I think we will do at least one other Sunday afternoon, probably in September.
And we can schedule some of those practically, like individually, like, you know, I mean, you could,
right.
I mean, if you wanted to do just one, you know, if we know it's just one family, you know, it can be 15 minutes on a Sunday after, you know what I mean? So we'll see what the need is and kind of address that. But
kind of what September brings.
That's
the other thing too is just, I think, we will do First Communion instruction again this coming Lent and First Communion, but we may need to do it in the same way. I'm one who doesn't think we're going to have a vaccine or herd immunity by the first of the year. I think we're probably looking at another 18 months. So I think, you know, it may be Lent of 2022 before we are, you know, back to doing it the way we've normally done, where we have, you know, 300 people in the sanctuary and all the kids are there and all that sort of thing. I may be wrong. I hope I am, but at least in my own mind, I'm kind of preparing for, 18 months of living with the pandemic and having limits placed on how we can worship. The other thing too, I should say is that, if we do have a significant surge in infections in late August, early September, and we can't meet at church at all. If the governor said nope, we just have to close it down for 6 weeks. I think we could do this, what we're talking about, but do it virtually, where we do, the service online. But if we can't have you come to the sanctuary, we could do the same thing via Zoom. That's not in the sanctuary, that would be at home. But if we have families who really want to move forward with it, I think that's going to be our next best option if we find ourselves in that position. So yes, thoughts that you have for moving forward?
I have a tiny logistical question. Did the kids bring the chalices home, or were they left at church? Because
We have them.
okay. I don't remember seeing that. So okay.
Yeah, we do have those. So we will have those with the banner when you pick up to fix them, that sort of thing. So
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
And one other thing to add to, our niece and nephews did First Communion virtually up in Fargo. So if we get to that point, we can ask them kind of how that worked, if we
great.
need ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, we can find that out.
Yeah, every church is definitely doing things different. I saw a neighbor friend that posted some pictures of Catholic First Communion where they were in the church in masks, and so it's definitely that's part of maybe the struggle, is that there's a lot of varying opinions, but we're doing the best, the safest, wanting to be as smart as possible as we navigate this. And so I'm thankful that we have an option, and I look forward to 5 years down the road talking with your kids and being like, remember when? I mean, that will be, and I hope that it can be that sort of a thing where God is not present in any less way, shape, or form in what we're doing here, and it will be for sure a very memorable and significant time for the kids. That it's different, and sometimes that's the way life is. It's different than we expect, and that can be a challenge, and yet we learn how to navigate some of those things, and kind of work through. And faith is no different than any other aspect of life in that regard. And yet again, I don't want that to say that if you choose to wait, that's a bad thing, because there's no right or wrong here, and we all have to choose for our families what we feel is best. And that's part of why I love our community so much, because it truly is a place of grace and welcoming, and that continues through this process. So
I think my one word of advice would be, do what you think is best for your son or daughter. What will make the best experience for him or her? And every family is different, every child is different, and your kids best. So what do you think will be most meaningful for them and help them the most in their faith life? So whatever that is. And so I think we'll probably need to just send out a note of some sort and just kind of find out from every family, what are your plans? What would you like to do? Would you like to do it now? Would you like to wait? Do you need a different date in September, or whatever it is? So that we kind of know what the path.
I'll be able to set up a short little Google form where people will be able to fill that out, and it'll have a live link in it to the Sign Up Genius if they're ready to sign up for a time. So that'll be coming soon, and then that'll help us know. I mean, it's hard to know if we don't hear from people, so that, you know, we need to have something so, you know, we know what they're planning to do, because I sometimes don't want anybody to be overlooked, but we can't wait forever either. We need to get plans made and get banners out. So we'll get that out soon.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else have anything? All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers. And as we, seek to help our kids know how deeply and dearly loved they are by God. You know, that's, I think, at the heart of what we're trying to do, that they, you know, by the time they launch out into life after high school, that they know that deep in their bones, without a shadow of a doubt, is they are God's beloved child. So, so thank you for allowing us to be partners with you in that as parents. All right. Well, I won't keep you any longer then. If everybody's
Thank you.
good.
And
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
please don't hesitate to reach out if you think of something else, or if you want to stay on and ask another question, that's fine too. So thanks for joining us. Good to see everybody.
Yes.
We miss
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.